Washington now, where police say they seized 23 guns from the home of a 13-year-old who appeared to be fixated on school shooters. Police arrested the teen after finding some disturbing social media posts. Yesterday, he pleaded not guilty to charges of unlawful firearms possession and making a threat. Let's go to CBS News reporter Andres Gutierrez covering the story for us. Andres, what did deputies find and why did they act so quickly?
Well, Elizabeth, a possible tragedy was averted all because someone saw something and said something. Let's take you back to Friday. That's when Pierce County Sheriff deputies received a tip that a 13-year-old was online making threats that he had guns. About 12 hours later at 1 a.m. Saturday, SWAT members showed up to the kid's house in Parkland, Washington. Inside, deputies found 23 weapons. You could see them right there on your screen. 8 handguns, 2 shotguns, and the rest of them semi-automatic rifles. Some of them were in a safe, but many, according to authorities, were out in the open, mounted on walls or left around the house. As you can imagine, there were also several boxes of ammo. And here is the disturbing bit. They also found loaded magazines inscribed with references to the Columbine massacre on them. This was allegedly found inside the teen's go bag. Investigators say the teen had also posted photos of himself holding guns online and posted on Telegram, quote, "When I turn 21, I'm going to kill people." He was also fixated on attacks like the 2017 Charleston church shooting and the 2022 school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Deputies believed it was only a matter of time unless they intervened.
Yeah.
Enough.
Where was the parents? That's the first thing that I'm trying to figure out. Where's the parents? Where's the parents? And why are they not also arresting the parents? Because if you 13 years old, which again, when we talk about the killer that was over in Minneapolis that shot up the church, when we think about all of these things, a lot of times I remember it was a kid that wound up committing a heinous act here in Michigan, and they not only arrested the kid, they also arrested the parents, and I think that they also charged the parents. But you're not seeing this nowadays, and I don't know if it's the judges, I don't know if it's the culture, I don't know if it's a combination of both, but this kid clearly was going to do something to somebody, and he had already inscribed and wrote exactly what he wanted to do. It was really just a matter of time of when. Thank God that we have a federal government that take these threats serious and go into these homes and make sure that they get these kids, because the parents have no clue, or either they're complicit in what these kids are doing and what's going to take place. And until you start holding the parents accountable, don't matter. Until you start holding the parents accountable for what the kids are doing, y'all got to start monitoring your kids' social media. You need to build a better relationship with them. You need to talk to them on a regular basis. You need to make sure that they got everything that they need. You need to be raising them in a 2-parent household. Now, I know that last one is probably going to bother people and trigger people. But when your kids turn out to be monsters, 9 times out of 10, not 10 out of 10, but 9 times out of 10, I even say 9.5, 9.6% out of 10. It's usually something that is happening in their lives, and it's a lack of supervision, a lack of parenting, a lack of insight and information. Y'all get these kids, these phones, these devices, and they get indoctrinated. I've been watching kids start to build relationships with AI bots and the chat GBT and all of that stuff. And people are not paying attention, and they're not monitoring their kids, and then they acting super surprised when certain things happen. I know everything that's going on with my kid. I talk to her regularly, go in her room, pray for her, having conversations with her. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? I check her location. If you going somewhere, make sure you got your Apple Watch on. I know what's happening on her phone, devices, going to the doctor with her, playing a bigger role in her life. Her mother also, we communicate about what's going on with her and all of this type of stuff. You know what that's called? Because kids don't have privacy, in my opinion. Kids don't get privacy. You know what that's called? Being a good parent. The fact that all of these weapons were just out and they were not locked up is crazy to me. You got weapons that are out and not locked up, and you don't think you think that that's safe? That should be a crime in itself to have those type of weapons around that old of a child and not have some real supervision that goes along with it? No, I don't know.
Believed it was only a matter of time unless they intervened.
Yeah.
Enough writings from that suspect that would conclude essentially some harm
That kid was going to take somebody out, or a lot of people.
was going to be coming to individuals.
And now, while this boy did reference school shootings online, investigators say he did not have plans to attack a specific school. Get this, he actually himself has not been inside a school building since 2021, since he was 9 years old. He's been homeschooled since then. Right now, he is sitting inside a juvenile detention center there in Washington.
No social interaction, no understanding. This is the real dilemma, or this is the real debate that I think that we should have, and maybe I'll introduce this on After Hours tomorrow, is when you homeschool children and they don't get any social interaction, do you actually hurt them socially, even though you're protecting them somewhat? Because if they just sitting online all day, they don't have no extracurricular activities, they don't have no anything that they doing after they get the homeschooling, and the only thing that they sitting in is their room, and all they got is devices, and you're not necessarily monitoring them. Does that also factor into, their inability to socially acclimate, or if they decide that they want to go to college, or when they get older they turn awkward and all of that stuff? Does that change everything?
Washington State after, as you said, he made his first court appearance yesterday afternoon. He will be back in front of a judge for a detention review, is what they call it, later this month.
Andres, just listening to the details of this case and looking at just the arsenal that this 13-year-old kid had, you got to wonder, how did he purchase those weapons? I mean, what about the parents and safe storage? Could they also be charged in this?
Well, right now, they're looking into this, Elizabeth. It's all under review. I did talk to the sheriff deputy that you heard from moments ago. I talked to her this afternoon, and she ended up telling me that social media posts from the teen would suggest that he did have access to the gun safes, and he posted images of the safe open with the weapons that he was holding at the time that photo was taken. And so there is state law there in Washington that parents can be charged after the fact if the minor gets to a gun and it ends up leading to harm or a credible threat. And there are around the country other rules that vary from state to state, that some states require locks at any time that a gun isn't under control, and others only end up penalizing the parents if the child actually gets a hold of one. So for right now, the parents in this case, they're still out and about. They probably have lawyered up by now. Investigators continue to talk with them. I did talk to the prosecutor's office this afternoon, and they are at this point waiting for the case file to be sent over to them so they can review a complete review and figure out whether or not the parents will in fact be charged or not in this particular case.
Yeah, you can't wait for anything to happen anymore because too many people lose their lives. And everything is so woke nowadays that I don't even trust some of these parents that are raising these kids. So I think that we need to start holding parents accountable for the things that their children is getting into. And I think that people would be more careful with what it is that they allow their child to do. And I think it's just so much that we probably avoided another conversation, another live stream, another reaction video to something crazy, whether it was sooner or later, probably sooner rather than later, because if he felt compelled to post it on social media and online, then I don't think that he's in any way, shape, or form in the right mentality and had the right capacity to be able to operate or even be around guns that's inside of his house. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley 14 to 14-year-olds, thinking 13-year-olds. Teach Hanley 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm gonna holler at you guys later. Peace.